It is 9 o'clock on a Tuesday, and I'm here to write another puzzle for your entertainment, and also for my own benefit, because then I will have written a puzzle. And isn't that nice? I, the last, several times over the last few weeks, I've been sort of stretching my legs, so to speak, in these streams, doing some types that I have less familiarity with, or that I are sort of on the more difficult end for me. And like yesterday, not yesterday, last week, I got to a point where I only, I finished about 80 to 90% of the grid, and I was like, I'll finish it the next day. And finishing it off proved to be harder than I thought, so it's still not finished. And so I thought that I could use an easy W today, so I'm returning to one of my standby formats, namely the Pathfinder of the hexagonal variety. So, give a shout out in the comments if you are watching, but I am just probably going to dive into this, I think. Um, so, let's mark our letters. I was thinking of starting with Stranger Things. I'd heard some things about, like, um, announcements for the next season or whatever. I don't really follow it, but I don't have to in order to write a clue about it. All right. So that's just an arbitrary. Uh, Actually, let's steer a little bit away from the edges. Don't want to clutter that up yet. Okay. Uh, dot. So we've got a few. Stranger Things has just good wordplay options for a Pathfinder. Just very good letters. I'm probably going to go with, because I was thinking about it this morning, that the Ranger in Stranger could go with, say, Range Rover, which would then give us over as a good um, as a good um, lead in to the next word, or as a good start to a word. Uh, and then we have this ing, which can be a verb ending, and this ht. I was thinking I could try to do it backwards, and now that I see how this lines up with the s, I'm thinking that I could do something like borscht. Let me make sure I'm spelling that right. Borscht. Yeah, I mean, borscht is also one of those words where you could potentially spell it a lot of ways. In the original Russian, there is no T at the end, it's just borscht. I don't know where the T in English came from. It could be that in another Slavic language there is a T at the end. But let's maybe put in borscht. Um, and And part of the reason that I wanted to do borscht and not something with the th is that I wanted to get some overlap that was in the other direction. So I might actually, instead of having a verb ending in g, want to do something like ignition over here to get the gn I instead of ing. Or maybe just ignite, because T ignition. No, I could split it up. T I probably want to put it O N. So sure, let's do that. Because I'm also noticing that if I put the I there, then I could have something like Robin or microbial going around here. So G N I T I and then O N. I didn't want to turn to the left. If I turn to the left, actually, that's even though I was planning to have Range Rover, I could. Uh, I could potentially move ignition over like this to share in the N of Stranger Things. I can't have it going like this. Uh, well, again, I could. Um, well, no, you. So if it were, could have it like that, and then have. Okay, yes. I'll abandon the Range Rover thing. It's kind of played out. Played out is maybe overstating it, but it's a sort of wordplay that is, seen used before. So I might have something like ionic or bionic. Let me see if there's other things that histrionic is probably too long. Uh, if I tried to do histrionic, what would it do to me? Because what I'm thinking is I do something like ionic, and then Nicaragua, going through the A to the through the AR here, and then something like Nicaragua. Um, is that a good idea, though? I would need to have something that can go from the. Okay, I could have a list there. All right, let's do that. Now let's see what would happen if I tried to put histrionic in here. Maybe like HISTR. So I could have something like whist here or thistle, and then this R. Okay, sure. Now let me just check on. So usually we use histrionic in the plural, but histrionic as an adjective sure ought to be something. Histrionic personality disorder. Uh, yeah, overly dramatic. So let's see. All right, so I had ignition going on over there. So histrionic doubles up on the I, O, N. Oh, and that's the N. Oh no, it doesn't double up on the N because that N is going to be in Nicaragua. That's the N. The Nicaragua is going to go here. E dot R dot. Then AGUA. And then this can be nugget over here. And then let me just see if there's anything else that is a blank blank ST. There's A list and A test, but A test is kind of dated. Aegist I would prefer to spell with the E in it. Oh, angst. Angst would give a better set of letters because A list you'd have this AL or sorry LI hanging out here, and so that's got to either be the end, and you could have something here like Denali or cannoli, certainly. Or if it were angst, there you can have the ing possibly coming in from, let's see, this is, ravening is just too short, but I wonder if there is something that connects the R, A through to that. Rationing. So it gives me another TIO, which is fine. Or TION. They're not overlapping at all, and it's a common enough ending that that's probably fine. Also, in at least for rationing, the TIO is not part of an ending, it's part of the root ratio. So let's see. First we have angst. And then we have T. And then rationing is going to go like this. T, oh no. That T, I, and O are still out in the open. N is checked. I, N, G. I will leave this part over here, so I just need to have something that goes like I something. And then over here, I said I was going to have thistle. I think thistle is better than whistle, because if I put whistle, I'd have this ELW here, or WLE hanging at the end, and that's not good. But if I had thistle, then I could have something ending ELT, like smelt or stuff. I mean, I could have remelt, but I really don't like that. Ooh, I'm just realizing that having having Robin the way I wanted it would cause a problem in if I put Robin here, and that would check this I and N, is that then we have R, something that connects the R and the N, and unless the two letters that connect those can go in here with ELT, but that's not, I don't think there's a, what is there? There's smelt, dwelt. I don't think there's anything that's going to start with a vowel. Knelt, spelt. All right, so we don't have Robin. But we'll do this. Oops. H T L E. I could do something that comes around here through the BI and ending in R. And I'm probably just going to want smelt over here. It's not a lot that ends in ELT. Model T is an interesting one in that it's not an ELT. Lots of different belts. Mostly belts, some felts and melts. Roosevelt is just too long to go in this area. So maybe Model T. Model T might not be a good idea, and I'll show you why in a second. So if I had that, so these three letters are now a bit of a problem. Because I can go, the way to get all of this checked is that you have some six-letter word beginning DOM. That's potentially fine. Domain, domino. And then those same letters are used for something that at the very least goes through the R and the I, and possibly also the B and beyond. If it does go through the B, then it can go beyond. Just don't think. And the problem is, in order to go against the R here, it's pretty much got to be a vowel or possibly an H or a Y. So I'm not sure what we have besides domino, domini, dumeth. All right, so none of those will work. So it's not Model T, and we should just do a two-letter word. Of all of the possibilities, I think smelt leaves the best ending, because we could have some kind of ism. That I'll deal with that coloring wrong. And we could even have an ism that goes from the R to the SM. R-H-E-U-M. Yeah, rheumatism is far too long. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, ISM. I think that's how many letters I have. Yeah. I don't like any of those particularly. And if it's going to be 7 letters, it will need to start with a vowel. Oh, wait. These are... A-T-H-E. Oh, I've been one letter off on all of this. No, no, no. Oh, right, because I don't know that it... All right. Realism. E-A-L-I. No. So then we want 6 letters starting with a vowel. So we have ageism, autism, orgasm. All right, I'm not seeing anything for that. So what I think the way to do this then is to have something that goes through the BI and the R like this, and something else that goes through the SM over here, and then something that goes like that. So if I do star BI dot 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 R, I'm going to have stuff like binder and bitter, and bigger could give me something with an egg. I'm basically looking for something where the 3 letters between the BI and the R can be either the end of a word or the beginning of a word in reverse. Rabbit ear singular I don't like, unfortunately. Could have something like harbinger because the NGE is a decent ending. What is the usual spelling of carabiner? I think it's like this, but I could be wrong. Justin Bieber. But I don't think that EBE is going to be useful because it needs to also connect to a vowel for whatever comes before the SM. Hey, Tane. Good to see you. No worries about not being around. Uh, so if I had Harbinger, Harbinge, then we don't have much room here. So we'll have that. Frobisher would be interesting here. Frobisher being I believe one of the explorers who was trying to chart the Northwest Passage in the 19th or early 20th century, or at least some sort of explorer of Canada, because I know that there is a Frobisher Bay, which is, I believe, an inlet on one of the large islands, maybe Baffin Island. But then we'd have something ending in SHE, and Stranger Things was the seed, yes. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's not. So Frobisher was not going to be. I could also potentially have this be something that ends one letter before the R and then something else goes through the R over here. Is it better if it goes like that? Ugh. This is nearly great. Having Harbinger and then yeah, Schism. And then Hinge. And then we have C sharp. The B's already used anyway, so like never mind that it's spelled with a P. But if there's another, well, there's not much that ends HAR. There's like a couple of names like Behar and Lehar and Lahar, which is like some kind of geographic feature. It's a mud flow from a volcano. So what was it for that? All right, none of those fit that pattern. We could potentially have so for this to make something here, it's got to be what, an H, a T, an S. Well, let's check. B. And then we have three other letters. Dot, dot, dot. B, H, S, T, ism. No, why mess around with trying these individual things? Let's just do an equation solver. So we've got 2 letters here, 3 letters here. E equals 2, B equals 3. A, N, G, E, B, A, S, M, twiddle, B, A, R. Yeah. That's what I was afraid of. Statism and Rasta. COT has always seemed like one of those tools that needs practice to use well. Yeah, I've had lots of practice with it. And even then, one friend of mine who used to be on my mystery hunt team was keen on making computer tools for things, and he wanted to make a tool to replace COT, because one of the things that I was really frustrated with COT especially was the ability to try custom word lists. Now, I believe it's Alex Boisvert who has set up some COT alternative, and I can't remember what it's called, that allows for custom word lists. I haven't tried it. I heard there were some performance issues, but that's secondhand knowledge. Anyway, my friend Kyle wanted to do something that had similar functionality to COT, but he said that it needed to the syntax needed to be improved. And his evidence for this was the fact that once he was watching Foggy stream constructing a meta or something, and that he was using a COT query to try to come up with potential answer words for the meta, and he got stuck for like 20 minutes trying to find the error in a COT query that's just like, missing up, having a semicolon in the wrong place or whatever. And he was just like, if it takes that long to debug a single query, this can't be right. And so he gave me this, he made something himself, and I was like, this syntax is no better than COT's and possibly worse. It's unfortunately anything that has the complexity of COT will have a fair bit of complexity in the syntax as well. Let me see if I can find out what the name of the other tool is. Umiak. Umiak web interface. So if I just do like star bi dot 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 r, I don't know what the default word list is, but it's not Broda, because there's a lot of things that Broda was returning that weren't in here. But anyway, yeah, Alex has done a lot of great stuff for the puzzle community. Uh, I have gotten great use out of his tools, and so um, I support his Patreon. I'm not terribly interested in acrostics, which is most of what he publishes, but he does some variety, other types of variety crosswords, which I like, but mostly just supporting what he has done for me and for the community. Um, so I don't need to stare at that because I also know how to use Cot pretty well. Yeah, um, I understand that not everybody can afford to be putting money towards puzzles. I do try to make sure to have my one free puzzle a month, um, because there aren't a whole lot of outlets for these aside from like, I don't know, Wall Street Journal Saturday puzzles. Hmm. All right, so this probably wants to be an I here. There's something else that I thought would be a good. Oh yeah, bigger and egg something. I wonder if there's anything that is stargnism. Hyperforeignism. Hmm. Well, I can tell you that this puzzle is not going to be one of the freebies, so if you're doing the free puzzles, you won't be spoiled for it. Uh, but, you know, I have lots of puzzles. I'm sure that there are plenty that you won't have been spoiled on. Um, so what I'm now considering is if I have B, I, G, G, E, R, and then something with egg. Is there anything with EGGI other than egging, egg, eggiest, eggier? So if I had egging, Galvanism? Germanism? Is galvanism the same as galvanization? Or okay. And then Germanism would just be like a character. Thing about galvanism, maybe I can do it for Germanism too, but galvanism, I immediately saw halva as something that could overlap with it. What could go like this? Some kind of derma. Although they're all like scientific names. So let's try that. Let's. One of the inspirations for Frankenstein? Oh, yes, absolutely. Um, so. So let's. All right. Start with egging. G. Oh, no, that's not. So then galvanism. N. Oops. N. I. S. M. Then halva. There's also Castrovalva, which is, I think, a city in Spain, but that may be too obscure. It's a Doctor Who serial, but why did I think? Ah, right. Oh, it's an Italian town. I knew of it from the Escher print. Castrovalva looks kind of like you're trying to say Castlevania. Um, oh, if it had one more letter, you could have Castrovalva going through here. Castrovalva, um, which would totally be worth the potential obscurity. Only 90,000? Really? Then it's definitely too obscure. I would have thought that between it being a place, which tends to be overrepresented on Google, and an Escher print and a Doctor Who serial, Hang on one moment. My dad's trying to call me. Tell him to get back to him tomorrow, but right. I said that I would talk to him this evening, and then I forgot that I was going to be streaming. So let me just say, get back to you tomorrow. It's not particularly urgent that I talk to my dad, just I haven't talked to him in a while. Alright, so no Castrovalva, but halva is good. Halva is delicious. A L V A. Gotta work on my hemming and hawing. I don't mean to. So now I could definitely get something that goes through the RO and the H. Something like brother. Brother or Hrothgar. I wonder if there's something that will take me all the way through the C, the RO, and the H. C dot 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 RO dot H star. Chlorophyll. Oh. Oh, too much? Yeah, I'm still working on that myself. But chlorophyll is nice. What are coulrophobes afraid of? Clown? Clowns. Chlorophyll is gives much better letters because it puts an YLL here, which in reverse, LLY is a great ending. C H L O R O P H Y L L. So then I can have something over here. Getting the OLH in a single word is unlikely, but there's payola, parole, mostly just those. I thought pozole was spelt with two Z's. Oh, pozole with one. Pozole. I do have a lot of food references in my puzzles, and that does put an OZ here. Not going to have something ending Zolly, I don't think. Star, So it either so it could end ZO, so it could be like gonzo, garbanzo, chorizo. Man, there's going to be a lot of food in this puzzle. But that's one of the things that tends to show up a lot in my puzzles, so uh, my solvers are probably used to it. I could also just have something like ozone here, ozone layer. But if I had like chorizo here, that would also give me holly. Oh, such a conundrum. All right, I have. Let's try to stretch out with. I mean, I guess having chorizo crossing pozole as two things, like if you don't know Spanish and Mexican cuisine, then you're just. Though that might be a block there. So I'll keep pozole. So ozone Layer. And then I was going to have. Oh, let's mark the end of that. Synth. Hang on. Probably overdue for vacuuming. Think locally. Oh, for down. Yeah, I haven't thought about what's going to go over here yet. For LO. Why would I have an. Well, if you're thinking that I have the LO there from pozole, I'm using the OL of chlorophyll for pozole. So unless I have something else that is going LOZO, I don't need locally. Um, I could have something that is start. No, silly. Domino Rally, maybe. Oh yeah, I was in the middle of placing Hyacinth. I have to be careful here. Oh no, titer test is... So I guess titer spelled this way would be the British spelling. Because if I go this way, to the up and to the left, then I have to put the N here. And so either I have something ending I-T-R-E, which is basically going to be a British spelling like niter or titer, or something with... Well, it could be something... Ending in NIRE is probably not great. Then I think it's just going to be like a couple of Latin phrases. But you could have something, any of number of things starting with Aaron. You could have Aaron Gobrach, Aaron Brockovich, Aaron Yes. Aaron Yes might be a little bit too niche. It's the Greek name for the Furies, who prior to the first Hades game in 2020 were actually a pretty niche group of Greek part of Greek mythology. Not altogether that niche, but in particular treating them as individuals as they are treated in Hades. Like usually it's just the Furies. You don't really care that much about Megara versus come on, I was addicted to Hades for a year and a half. Tisiphone and wow. I'm impressed that I managed to forget that. So Irenaeus wouldn't be completely out there, although I don't think people know of the Greek name for them. And in fact, they were more often referred to as the Eumenides, which means the kindly ones, as sort of a euphemism. Yeah, only about 400,000, even though Furies Greek. Oh, okay. I mentioned being addicted to Hades 1. I'm now addicted to Hades 2. It was very tempting for me to just call off stream so I could play actually, I don't even need to worry about Aaron stuff. I could also have an Eric or an Erica. Eric Clapton, Eric Andre, Eric. Erica who? Erica Erica Jong. Yes, it's the genus of heather. Surprisingly more results for Erica with a K. I guess it's more popular. That's the more common spelling in Scandinavia and other parts of Europe, where I guess it's more popular than it is here. And then you also have other spellings like Erica Badu, but I need it to start ERIC. Actually, what did it give me? So first, yeah, that's giving me just a lot of. Oh right, Eric Adams, that train wreck. So Eric Clapton, Eric Andre, those are probably the two I would go with there. So over here, this is clearly going to be tithe or some form of tithe. Well, let's just see what we got here. Any other things that I'm not thinking of? Erickson, Eric Bana. Eric Dolphy is an amazing jazz clarinetist, bass clarinetist, um, but probably not general knowledge. Eric Cartman. I'm kind of in denial about South Park still being a thing. But, you know, South Park is going to be a thing for, pretty sure South Park is going to continue to be a thing for at least like 8 years after The Simpsons ends, just so they can say that they were on TV longer than The Simpsons. Yeah, The Simpsons are still on too, but like, and The Simpsons are clearly not what they used to be, but I feel like the baseline quality is still higher than for South Park. Hmm. Apologies for the spam. let's work over here because I'm seeing tithed. And then onion. Oh, no, I can't. That N is already checked. So whatever is connecting these has to go through. It basically has to be 5 letters connecting the I and the O. Intro is not going to be good letters. We could have Imago, Omani, Igloo, Idaho. Inigo. Okapi. Omani. That's not how you spell Shohei Ohtani. Pretty sure. Yeah. Shohei Ohtani has an H. Ozaki, Ozeki. So of those, so I could have Inigo for the Princess Bride reference. Question mark. Yeah, I could do something for like that for Idaho. Idaho, this DAH here, it could be, so you could have Dahlia. So I have 2 different flowers. Lia. But then that's not really going to work well with whatever's coming off of tithe. T-I-T-H. But if we do like, we could do Inigo like this and have something like Nigeria. Or if we had Omani, then we could have something with name or something ending in man. But who doesn't like a Princess Bride reference? So, I also could try to do someone named Nigel or Nigella, but I can't think of that many people that Americans might know with those names. Do Americans know who Nigel Farage is? Not like I'm that excited about putting him in a puzzle. Or Nigella Lawson. Yeah, had as an ending could be Galahad. Da as a beginning, as I said, could be Dahlia. Um, yeah, if you are inspired to like make a puzzle from watching me, then that's really cool. Better than anything else I can hope for. Um, I suppose, speaking of jazz references nobody's going to get, there is also a jazz standard by Sonny Rollins called Erigin, which is specifically Nigeria backwards. But that is another level of needless complication there, even if it makes for an interesting clue. So then this can be all manner of things that end in air. Clues are the best way to get your voice into a puzzle. I mean, that is for most people. I feel like my cluing is my weak point, and my voice primarily comes from doing weird variety formats and filling them with this kind of things that I like. I don't. I'm not. I've gotten better at cluing, but it's still. If there was one thing I could improve on, it's always going to be my cluing. Yeah, if I hadn't just used the TH for tithe, you could also have in the air here. But that would also leave the ER isolated. So, E. R. I. C. None of the Erics that came up, excuse me. Well, Eric Foreman is the main character of that 70s show. Does anyone remember that 70s show anymore? Eric Burdon, possibly the lead singer of The Animals, but if I'm going to go for, you know, members of 1960s English rock bands, I would, go with Clapton over Burdon, at least in terms of recognition. Let's try Eric Andre. Oh, wait, no. I was thinking that I could have Handel here, but that E is already checked. So I can have Eric Andre, I just can't go that direction. And I might want to think about, let's think about the placement of this more. Do I want to go over here? That... In order to make that work, I would probably have to change it to Nigerian so that I could have something over here. But then I really need like on air here, and an O does not want to go there. So not that specific arrangement. Now if I did it like this, I have more freedom. Maybe. Is there something that goes in 123 AIR? Nike Air. IKE. Oh, that's that's not going to work either, because we'll run into a problem. If we have Nike Air, then, well, I either have something that else that ends in Nike, or I have something like Drake here, but that leaves this AD isolated, unless I just have a four-letter word here, which I don't want to do. So that means that it's going to at least go this way, and I know that it can't go that way. So let's do that for now. I could still do Nike Air. But I would have to... Let me just... Is Nike Air actually... Because, like, you have lots of specific Air, you know, Air Jordan, Air Max. Air Force. Okay, I don't think Nike Air is really an actual thing. It might be something that people refer to, but it looks like it's specific Air things like Air Force and Air Jordan. I guess not fair is OTF. No, not fair is going to give TF over here, which is not going to work. So this is going to have to probably be something short like on air. Uh, might, well, let's try, let's see, if we had something that's more like hot air, and then the goal here is to have something that comes around like this, possibly to the H, and then something else that does that. Hmm. I'm now thinking that maybe to a man going here, which gives us NAM, and then two letters here. Well, I guess you could have Namath, Joe Namath, and then Tardy. Oh. You don't want to have something like tardy, possibly tardier. What ends in IRE? Lumiere, Moliere, Derriere, Premiere. I'm going to say, oops, sure. Hot A I R T O N A M A N and T A R, oops, R dot, not question, comma, D I E R, and then something like Premiere. Could have Lumiere. I mean, Lumiere being the candlestick from Beauty and the Beast, and like Beauty and the Beast now is almost as far from today as the first wave of Disney classics like Cinderella and Snow White are from them. Maybe not quite, like Snow White is 1940s? 1937. Oh. Okay, so actually there's a much bigger gap there. So I shouldn't complain too much. Um, so if I have Premiere, it's pretty much going to go. Oops. PREM. And email isn't going to be good because that will give us this RP. If we can also involve this R, but I don't know what there's going to be besides Remail, which is a lot less good than email. Yeah, and the other way, I guess there's Loomer. Which I would not want to do. Oh, God. I can never remember who all of these people are sometimes, and so I was like, pretty sure Laura Loomer is not a pleasant person. Frickin' InfoWars. Possibly. That's one I haven't heard of, but anything is possible. So let's go back to 24 million, but the first results I get are not Disney. And probably a large number of it is going to be just the fact that Lumiere is French for light. But yeah, me too. So if I had Lumiere, the thing I'm liking about putting Lumiere here is that we now get this ULL, but I'm not sure what you can do with that. Obviously, mull is a word, but it's too short. There's stuff that begins with mull, like mullet and mullions, but what ends in all skull, in full, no bull. If it were on full instead of in full, then I could do that and then just Boston Bull. I know of Boston butt, which is a cut of pork. Oh, it's another term for a Boston Terrier. Yeah, not even finding Boston Bull. I wonder why there was a peak for Boston Terrier around 1940. Hmm. Yeah, that's just it's creating a whole bunch of dependencies that are just compounding themselves. Tardigrade is going to be too long. TARDIS is too short. What is a quadrat? One more than a tri-rot. Yeah, it's a square frame. Pretty common. I remember distinctly this being a word that I just found during my young days when I would just like read the dictionary that we had in our household, as one does. But then I could have equal or equate or equator. So maybe we'll have equator down here. I don't think I can have something that goes EQUA and then to the L. When I was a youngin', there just weren't many game shows, especially during the day. It was just like up the price is right. And well, no, they had some of those like daytime game shows like Scrabble and Concentration and whatnot. But uh, other than Scrabble, they didn't much catch my interest. They can be good for random trivia bits. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you could just have something like lector, littoral. I don't think that littoral will give me good. Um, Lay to rest. brothel, betrothal, Jethro Tull. Okay, I'm running into the problem where I'm now running out of space. And if I get too clever, I'm just not going to be able to fit everything in. So it's time to go back to little stubby words to um, get everything to work. So lotto, and then otter or other. Otter is better letters if it's going to overlap with the ON. But I do need to think about the layout of this. So I have otter. So then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 once checked and 6, or 7 once used and 6 unused for a total of 19. So it'd have to be 3 more. So it's probably something like that. And that. And that. Oops. Seven, 8 dot on. Oops. On E star. CST. So if we had contest, that would check the T and the E of otter. And so now what I'm hoping is that I get something, 3 letters that will make a word with LLY and that can then make a word going around like C blank TS or SC blank T. darn. Orally, but like CAROT is like one of the few combinations of letters that would spell carrot that isn't a word. You know, as opposed to carat the vegetable, carat the symbol, carat the measure of gold, and carat the measure of gemstones. Um, hmm. Sena is a little bit of operatic lingo. A sena is like a combination of a recitative and aria that sort of uh, is scuba pluralizable. Lots of things for some pub called Scubus Poorhouse. What is Scuba a brand? That is what a because if I use all right. So what this lets me do is so I have otter TER, then Contessa NTESSA Senas. Like, again, it's music jargon, but it just means scene, and so it can is kind of inferable. Oops. Oh yeah, yeah. And then Nelly, which is uh, a much more modern music reference. All right, so that would fill the grid. Let's see what we got here. For make sure we have. Let's shrink that. Let's histrionic, Nicaragua, thistle, angst. Oh, I never marked those as checked. Next. Nigeria, Inigo, Nugget, Egging, Smelt. It's a lot of shorter words, but then I'll bounce back, I think. Ignition. Eric Andre. Chlorophyll. Bigger and borscht. To a man. Nemeth. Hyacinth. Pozole. Halva. Lotto. Ozone layer. Otter. Oh, I knew I should have changed the highlighting color for that. I missed out galvanism. Oh. Otter. Equator. Quadra. Oh no. Oh. So before that we have Contessa, Equator, Senas, Nelly, and Quadrat. 222. Drat. I must have one that I have not entered. Let me just make sure I have everything that I marked. Stranger Things, Histrionic, Nicaragua, Thistle, Angst, Nigeria, Inigo, Nugget, Egging, Smelt, Rationing, Tithe, ignition, Eric Andre, chlorophyll, bigger borscht, galvanism, to a man, Nemeth, hyacinth, pozole, halva, lotto, ozone layer, otter, Tessa, equator, Senes, Nelly, quadrat. The problem being that I should have 228 letters. So I am missing, presumably there is a 6-letter word hiding out here that I neglected to account for. Great. This is a bit, oh, hot air. So that's going to go between halva and lotto. What was my last Hex Pathfinder? Okay. I wound up having more mortar than bricks in here, I feel, which I guess it is what it is. I've got 4 10-letter entries and some 9s and 8s. 1, 2, 4, 5. But a lot of 5s and 6s. I shouldn't dwell on it too much. It will be fun to solve, I'm sure. I don't think there's really any place that I could have improved upon this without changing a lot of the placement. I don't think there are really places where I could, maybe if I had done something like Littor, I think it would be hard for me to edit this to cut out any words. And really, I wouldn't really be concerned unless I had more than 32 entries. 31 would be better. Did I actually? Oh yeah, that's one where I spent several drafts to get it into a good number. Okay, I had this one Hex Pathfinder that I got 29 entries in, which was just, it was overachieving. Had some really big overlaps like Aaron Sorkin and Working Overtime and Govern. And also got rescued again by food. A mussel soup that I had not heard of called Billy Bee, which seems to have gotten its name because it was made for some for some American businessman named William B. something. That was a while ago. That was whenever The Boy and the Heron won the um, Academy Award, which I guess was only a year and a half ago. Oh right, the last Hex Pathfinder that I did hear was actually one that I sent to um, June, I think, for was it this that or did I send him a regular Pathfinder? I should not get so hung up on this. Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is what I sent to um, June. All right, so this will probably come out in November. I already have the rest of the puzzles for um, October lined up. We just need, um, you know, I need to finish laying out and testing. And I definitely have the first puzzle of November already taken care of. So this will go somewhere in the middle of November. I am feeling like I have accomplished the gridding, and I've already done some tutorials on how I do the puzzle layout for this, and I think I want to just call it a night, and I'll get back to it on my own time. But thank you for joining me. I will be back next week with something new, something mysterious, something with letters and words in a grid. But until then, happy